On a cold night, the unthinkable happened. Donald Trump publicly tore into Jimmy Kimmel with savage insults and a direct threat, only for Kimmel to stay ice cold, smile, and then drop the most explosive truth bomb of the decade, exposing the darkest secret about Trump and his own daughter Ivanka in front of a stunned live audience and rolling cameras. It was a cold Thursday evening in New York City. By 7:30 p.m., the grand ballroom of the New York Marriott Marquis was already packed with over 2,000 people. The event had been scheduled to start at 8 p.m. sharp, but the room had been filling up since late afternoon. The air felt electric, like right before a big game. Then the lights dimmed a little, the music hit, and Donald Trump walked out onto the stage with that same confident swagger everybody knew. The crowd went wild, clapping and cheering as he waved and flashed that big smile. He stepped up to the microphone, adjusted it with one hand, and started talking about all the wins he'd had, the economy, the deals, the promises he kept. Then, without any warning, everything changed. Trump stopped mid-sentence, narrowed his eyes, and pointed straight down toward the front row. Right there, sitting calm as could be, was Jimmy Kimmel. The late-night host looked up, surprised but still relaxed in his seat. Trump's face changed. The smile disappeared. "You know, folks," Trump said, his voice turning sharp, "I see Jimmy Kimmel sitting right there like he's some big shot. This guy, he's nothing but a low-rated late-night clown. His show is dying, his jokes are terrible, and honestly, nobody even watches him anymore except a few angry liberals in their basements." The crowd laughed at first, some nervous, some loud. But Trump wasn't done. He leaned forward, gripping the podium tighter. "And let me tell you something else. His family, what a mess. His wife, his kids, they have to live with that every day. Must be tough waking up next to a guy who spends all night making fun of people who actually get things done." Gasps rippled through the room. A few people shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Kimmel stayed completely still, eyes locked on Trump, not saying a word. Then Trump's voice dropped lower, colder. "Cross me and you'll pay big time, Jimmy. Watch your back tonight." The entire hall went dead silent. Trump stood there staring hard at Kimmel, waiting for some kind of reaction. But Kimmel didn't flinch. He didn't stand up. He didn't even look angry. He just sat there, calm as ever, and slowly let a small, cold smile creep across his face. That smile said everything without saying anything. The silence stretched on, getting heavier by the second. It felt like the whole room was holding its breath. Trump watched him for another beat, then broke into a big, satisfied grin. He turned back to the crowd, laughing like he had just scored the biggest knockout of the night. "See, that's what happens when you mess with the wrong guy," he said, shaking his head with fake pity. Sad, very sad. He started talking again, picking up where he left off about his accomplishments, acting like nothing had happened. The crowd tried to follow along, clapping here and there, but the energy had completely shifted. Everyone kept glancing toward Kimmel. Then Jimmy Kimmel slowly pushed himself up from his seat. He didn't rush. He didn't look mad. He just stood there for a second, straightening his jacket, then raised his hand and pointed toward the stage crew. "Can I get a microphone up here?" he said, his voice calm and steady, like he was ordering coffee. "And throw the big screen on. I've got something you all need to see." A few crew members moved fast. Someone handed him a wireless mic. The giant screens behind Trump lit up with a bright blue glow. Trump stood at the podium, arms crossed, smirking like this was all a joke. Kimmel walked up the side steps onto the stage, slow and deliberate. He stopped about 10 feet from Trump and looked straight at the crowd. "Mr. President just threatened me on live television," he said evenly. "Told me to watch my back. So let's talk about watching what we say, especially about family." He nodded to the tech guy. The first video clip started playing. There was Trump, years younger, sitting in an interview, smiling as he talked about his daughter. "Ivanka is a great, great beauty. If she wasn't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her." The words hit the room like a slap. People gasped. Some whispered, "What the hell?" Others leaned forward, eyes wide. The clip ended, and the crowd buzzed with nervous energy. Trump's face twisted. He slammed his hand on the podium. "Fake news!" he shouted, voice booming. "That was a joke! Total joke! Everybody knows it! He stepped away from the podium and tried to grab the microphone right out of Kimmel's hand. Two security guys moved in quick, but Kimmel didn't flinch. He simply stepped back, calm as ever, and signaled for the next clip. The screen lit up again. Another old interview from 2016. Trump, same confident tone. She's got the best body. She's tall. She's got the legs. If she wasn't my daughter, I'd probably be dating her. The crowd got louder this time. Murmurs turned into shocked chatter. A couple of people in the back stood up, shaking their heads. Trump's face was turning red. He lunged forward again, reaching for the mic. "Turn that crap off," he yelled. "This is ridiculous. I'm not going to stand here and let this clown play games." Kimmel held the mic away and kept his voice level. "These aren't my words, Mr. President. These are yours. On camera, multiple times." Before Trump could cut him off again, Kimmel turned toward the side of the stage. "I'd like to bring up someone who heard those kinds of comments a lot closer. Please welcome former assistant to the Trump Organization in 2005, Sarah Mitchell." A woman in her late 40s walked out from the wings, looking nervous but determined. She took the second mic that was handed to her and stood next to Kimmel. "I worked for Mr. Trump for 3 years," she said clearly. "I heard him make comments like that about Ivanka more than once. It wasn't a joke. He said it in meetings, in the office, even at family events. He wasn't laughing when he said it." The room exploded with noise. Some people clapped, others shouted in disbelief. Trump's face went from red to deep purple. He pointed straight at the woman, jabbing his finger hard. "You're fired!" he roared. "You're fired! Again! Get her out of here! This is a witch hunt!" His voice cracked with anger. The crowd split. Half of them booed Trump. The other half cheered him on. A group near the front actually stood up and started clapping for the witness. The noise got so loud the whole hall felt like it was shaking. Kimmel didn't back down. He kept the same calm tone, like he was just walking through facts anyone could understand. He nodded toward the big screen again. "Let's keep going," he said, because this wasn't just one slip-up. 3 more clips started playing back to back. In the first one, Trump was on a talk show years ago, grinning as he said, "Ivanka is sexy. She's got that hot look, you know." The second clip showed him at a public event calling her the hottest daughter in America. The third one was even more direct, Trump laughing and saying she's got the best body, hot as hell. Each clip hit harder than the last. The crowd started reacting louder with every new line. Some people covered their mouths. Others shook their heads in disbelief. Kimmel lowered the mic slightly and spoke straight to the audience. "These aren't jokes anymore when you hear them over and over. When a father talks about his own daughter like she's someone he'd want to date, it crosses a line. It shows the boundaries inside that family got blurry, real blurry." Before he could finish the sentence, Trump exploded. He stormed across the stage, face twisted in rage, and lunged straight for Kimmel. Trump grabbed at the microphone in Kimmel's hand and yanked it hard. "You're a sick man, Jimmy!" Trump shouted, spit flying. "Talking about my daughter like that! You're disgusting!" The two men now stood face to face, only about 6 feet apart. Trump was breathing heavy, chest puffed out. Kimmel didn't step back. He didn't raise his voice. He just looked Trump dead in the eyes, still holding the mic steady. Security guards moved closer but didn't jump in yet. The whole room felt like it was on the edge of breaking. Kimmel kept his voice even and calm. "I'm not the one who said those words on camera, Mr. President. You did. Multiple times." He turned slightly toward the side of the stage. "I'd like to bring up our second witness, former head of security for the Trump family in 2006 and 2007, Mike Reynolds. Come on up." A tall, serious-looking man in his 50s walked out onto the stage. He took the mic from the crew and stood beside Kimmel. "I was there for a lot of family events," Reynolds said, his voice deep and clear. "I saw Mr. Trump hug Ivanka in ways that didn't look right, especially when she was 23. It wasn't a normal father-daughter hug. It lasted too long. It was too tight. Happened more than once." The crowd erupted. Half the room started booing Trump. The other half cheered wildly for Kimmel and the witness. Shouts of, "This is insane," and "Let him speak," bounced off the walls. Trump's face turned deep red. He pointed aggressively at the security guard. "That's a lie," he yelled. "You're making this up for money, and you, Kimmel, your own family is a disaster. Your kids barely see you because you're too busy trashing people on TV every night. What kind of father are you?" Trump kept going, attacking Kimmel's wife and kids again, trying to flip the script. The crowd got even louder, splitting harder into two sides. Kimmel cut him off cleanly by raising his hand and signaling the tech booth. "Actually, let's listen to your own voice again," he said. A new audio clip played through the speakers. Trump's voice, recorded years earlier in a private setting. "Ivanka, you look so good tonight. Too good. Makes me wish things were different." The recording was short but crystal clear. The hall went dead quiet for half a second, then exploded with noise. People were yelling, arguing with each other, some standing up and pointing. The two sides of the crowd were now screaming back and forth. Security guards finally stepped in, forming a loose line between the stage and the front rows to keep things from getting out of hand. They didn't grab anyone, but their presence made it clear the situation was getting dangerous. Trump glared at Kimmel, breathing hard. Kimmel paused for a long second. The whole room seemed to lean in. He looked straight at the crowd, then at Trump, and spoke clearly, no shouting, no drama in his voice. "Ivanka became pregnant at 23, by her own father." The words dropped like a grenade. For one frozen moment, nobody made a sound. Then the hall erupted. Trump's face turned purple with rage. His eyes bulged. He charged straight at Kimmel like a bull, fists clenched. "Lies!" he screamed at the top of his lungs. "That's a damn lie! I'll sue you into oblivion, you sick bastard!" Trump swung his arm hard, trying to punch Kimmel in the face. Two security guards jumped in at the last second, grabbing Trump's arms and holding him back. Trump kept struggling, kicking and yelling, his body shaking with fury. "You're finished, Kimmel! I'll destroy you!" Kimmel didn't move. He didn't even flinch. He just stood there, mic still in his hand, watching Trump lose control. Before the chaos could settle, Kimmel nodded toward the side of the stage. "I'd like to bring up our third witness, Dr. Alan Peterson, the former family physician for the Trump family." An older man in a dark suit walked out calmly. He carried a folder of old medical papers. He took the mic and held up the documents so the cameras could see them clearly. "I treated the family for many years," the doctor said in a steady voice. "Ivanka's pregnancy at age 23. The timeline matches exactly with several private trips she took alone with her father. The dates line up perfectly. These are the original records." He held the papers higher. The big screens zoomed in on the dates and signatures. Gasps and shouts filled the air. Trump was still being held back by security, but he kept screaming, "Those are fake! All fake! You're all lying!" Kimmel raised his hand again and signaled the sound booth. "Let's hear this." A private audio recording from 2006 started playing through the speakers. Trump's voice, low and intimate, talking directly to Ivanka. "Baby, you know how I feel about you. Sometimes I wish you weren't my daughter, but you are. Still, you're mine." The recording was short, but the tone was unmistakable. Trump's face went from purple to ghost white in seconds. He panicked and started waving wildly at the control booth. "Turn that off! Turn it off right now! Shut it down!" He tried to break free from security to reach the stage controls himself, but the guards held him tight. The recording played out completely. The entire hall lost it. People were screaming, some cheering, some booing, others yelling, "Oh my God!" at the top of their lungs. A woman in the third row fainted and had to be helped by people around her. Trump was still fighting against the security guards, face twisted in pure panic and rage. Kimmel stood in the middle of it all, calm as ever, letting the storm rage around him. Trump finally broke free from the security guard's grip just enough to snatch a microphone from a nearby stand. His face was still red, sweat dripping down his forehead. He pointed the mic straight at Kimmel like a weapon. "You think you're smart, Jimmy? Let me tell you what a real loser looks like," Trump snarled. "Your son. That kid has problems, and you're never around because you're too busy chasing ratings with your cheap jokes. And that contract of yours. Everybody in this town knows you had to beg for it. Pathetic. Your whole career is built on lies and cheap shots." The crowd roared, some cheering Trump on, others booing him loudly. Kimmel stood his ground, not interrupting, just waiting for Trump to finish his rant. Then Kimmel raised his own mic, voice still steady. "Interesting you mention threats, Mr. President, because we have evidence you've threatened other witnesses before, people who tried to tell the truth about you." Kimmel nodded to the screen. A short clip played showing Trump in an old interview saying, "If you talk, you'll regret it. I'll make sure of that." Before the clip even ended, Trump exploded again. "Oh yeah? You want to play dirty?" Trump shouted, his voice cracking with anger. "Let me tell you something about Jimmy Kimmel. He's been taking money from my political enemies for years. Big checks from Hollywood liberals to smear me every night. That's why he's really here. He's a paid puppet." The accusation hung in the air. The crowd went wild, screaming and arguing back and forth. Some people started chanting Trump's name, while others yelled, "Prove it!" Kimmel didn't even blink. Instead, he waved toward the side of the stage. "Let's bring up the last two witnesses at the same time. Come on out." The former assistant Sarah Mitchell and the security guard Mike Reynolds walked back onto the stage together, each with their own mic. They stood shoulder to shoulder facing Trump. Sarah spoke first, loud and clear. "I never took money to lie. I'm here because what I saw was wrong." Mike jumped in right after. "And I'm not lying about those hugs. I saw them with my own eyes. You can't bully us into silence anymore." Trump stepped closer, yelling directly at them. "You two are traitors, both of you. I made you, and now you stab me in the back." The three of them started arguing live on the mics, Trump shouting over the witnesses firing back with specific dates and details. The crowd was on its feet now, half of them cheering the witnesses, the other half screaming for Trump. Then Trump suddenly turned and started walking toward the exit ramp at the back of the stage. "I'm done with this circus," he yelled. "I'm leaving." The crowd erupted in a massive chant. "Stay and answer! Stay and answer! Stay and answer!" The roar was so loud it shook the hall. Trump stopped halfway, turned around slowly, his face twisted in frustration. The pressure from the crowd forced him back toward center stage. Kimmel seized the moment. "Since you're back," Kimmel said calmly, "here's the final piece." The big screen lit up with a private video from 2006. Ivanka, only 23, sitting alone in a dimly lit room, tears running down her face as she spoke softly into the camera. "I don't know how to handle this anymore. The way he looks at me, the things he says. It's not right." The video was raw and heartbreaking. The entire hall went silent for a split second, then exploded into chaos again. Trump lunged forward, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Turn that off! That's fake! All of it!" Kimmel stepped right up to him, their faces now only inches apart. Both men were shouting into each other's faces at the same time. "You crossed the line!" Kimmel yelled. "You're destroying lives!" Trump roared back. Security guards rushed in between them, pushing the two men apart with their bodies, creating a human wall. Kimmel waited until the security guards created just enough space between him and Trump. He raised his mic one last time, his voice still calm and clear. "I have one final piece of evidence," he said. A text message Mr. Trump sent to Ivanka back in 2006. One of the witnesses took a screenshot of it at the time. The big screen lit up with the enlarged message. Trump's name was clearly at the top. The text read, "Baby, you looked so beautiful tonight. Sometimes I forget you're my daughter. I want you closer. Don't tell anyone." The words were unmistakable. The crowd gasped loudly. Phones were already out, people recording the screen. Trump stared at the message, his whole body shaking. Then he completely lost it. He dropped to one knee on the stage, fists clenched, and screamed at the top of his lungs right in front of hundreds of cameras. "Enough! I'll destroy you all, every single one of you." His voice cracked with pure rage. Spit flew from his mouth. The entire hall watched in stunned silence for a split second. Trump tried to push himself back up, but his legs gave out from the anger. He stumbled and fell hard onto the stage floor. Kimmel instinctively reached out a hand to help him up. Trump slapped the hand away violently. "Don't you touch me!" he roared, still on the ground. The crowd went into total chaos. People were screaming from every direction. He admitted it. "That's sick! Get him off the stage!" Some clapped, some shouted in disbelief. Others just stood there with their mouths open. Kimmel looked down at Trump for a moment, then turned back to the audience. He spoke quietly but firmly into the microphone. This wasn't about politics. This was about a father who forgot where the line is. The words landed heavy. The noise in the room slowly died down as people processed what he said. Security guards moved in fast. They helped Trump to his feet, then firmly escorted him toward the side exit. Trump kept yelling and struggling the whole way. "Get your hands off me! This is rigged! They're all liars!" His shouts echoed through the hall as he was led off stage. The crowd roared louder than ever, a massive wave of boos, cheers, and angry shouts that filled every corner of the building. Kimmel stayed right where he was, standing alone in the center of the stage. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just stood tall and waited. Slowly, the noise started to fade. The hall grew quieter, then quieter still. Then all at once, the crowd erupted into loud, thunderous applause. It rolled through the room like a wave, growing stronger and stronger. People were on their feet, clapping hard, some even cheering Kimmel's name. Kimmel finally looked straight into the main camera, his face serious. "The truth always finds the light." He gave one small nod, then lowered the mic. The applause kept going as the screen faded to black.